sometimes they don't even know the answers. You have to actually find the answers together.
Definitely.
And like, you feel like you're going to walk into these meetings and you should have the answers ready. They should just be there and you should be able to flow and tell everybody exactly how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be discovering these things together. If there are unknowns, you are supposed to explore it and go back out there, find the answers, come back and then make decisions together.
You are listening to Anxious for Nothing with Unpack, where together we overcome struggles with people pleasing and perfectionism so that we can truly value ourselves and create time to progress in all areas of our lives. I'll be sharing with you my personal experience using Agile IT systems for prioritization, especially when family, work, life, health, finances and our faith all collide into one. And most importantly, how to affirm our faith and identity in Christ during the storm, not just after it passes. Join me. This is time management like you've never known it before. Let's get started. Hello, Anxious for Nothing. So glad to have you back from last week's episode on the Triple Ps. How did you get on with that? And if you're new here, you are in for a treat because today we are talking about imposter syndrome. I'm joined here today by my amazing guest and good friend, Evelyn Akinmusire. Evelyn is the EdTech implementation specialist. What does that mean? I will get to that in a second. But first, Evelyn's background is in the school education system and safeguarding. She has taught and coached primary school age children in the UK. Following this, Evelyn now established herself in the tech industry as an Agile Scrum Master and Delivery Manager. And you can catch her series, Scrum Bites, on LinkedIn. So back to the EdTech. As you can see, this is a combination of both her backgrounds, making her a leading figure when it comes to education and IT. But one thing Evelyn is proficient in is AI prompting. Like knowing your way around MS360, prompting will soon be the skill that you're going to need to set yourself apart in the near future job market. So no, AI is not taking over your jobs, rather somebody with the ability to use AI and script prompts effectively. Now let's get into the discussion I had with Evelyn on imposter syndrome. Thank you so much, Evelyn, for coming onto my show. Really, really appreciate it. Welcome, welcome.
And thank you, Bimpe, for having me. I'm really, really happy to be here and excited to share my thoughts on our topic today.
Yeah, so today, like I said, we are going to jump straight into imposter syndrome. What is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is that feeling of, maybe you don't quite belong, or maybe you're not quite good enough, or that whole idea of fake it till you make it, and you're kind of like in a situation where you think, okay, I'm not qualified to do this, or can I even speak on this, or are people going to see me as a fraud? So, Evelyn, what are some of your thoughts on imposter syndrome? What is your personal definition of it?
So, okay, I want to talk about imposter syndrome, but not in a dramatic way, because I don't think like most people walk around feeling like a fraud. I think what actually happens is that you enter a new space and then suddenly your brain appoints itself as a gatekeeper.
Okay.
That voice like, are you sure you should say that? Or maybe wait, or
Yeah,
don't get this wrong. Like
I know that
nothing,
one.
exactly. Like nothing has actually happened. Nobody has criticized you, but your mind has already started doing a risk assessment. So, my personal definition is this. Imposter syndrome is when your situation shows you belong in the room, but your thoughts start questioning your right to be comfortable in it. So let's say, for example, I've been in meetings where I was completely qualified to be there, and then someone asked my opinion, and then instead of me thinking about the actual problem, my brain went to, why are they asking me specifically? Meanwhile, like if I'm with my family or my friends, I can talk freely, explain things like really quickly. I don't even, you don't edit every sentence. Like my ability hasn't changed, but my sense of belonging has.
What
So
I just want to pick up on that a minute because you said like when you're with your friends and your family, like you just like spin it quick, no questioning. But like in this particular situation, what do you think it was? Was it the environment or the people? Like, what do you think it was that kind of like brought out that kind of like self-questioning in that situation?
yeah, I think it's like the sense of belonging. So like in certain work environments, especially like new ones, you become more careful. So you start monitoring how you sound, how you look, whether you're saying the quote unquote the right thing. And then even as a black woman in some spaces, like you're also aware that you might be the only one like you in the
I know
room.
that one.
And I've
Been
like
there.
been, yeah. And so now you're not just, so now you're speaking, you are like representing competence. And like that pressure makes you manage yourself more than usual. So I wouldn't say like it's low confidence. I think it's like your brain trying to protect your credibility. And, you know, as human beings, like we want acceptance. When you enter a new
Absolutely.
environment, your mind scans for social risks, not
Yeah.
physical danger, not reputation danger. Like you don't want to be embarrassed. You don't want to be dismissed. So your brain creates this like warning thought. And sometimes we treat that thought as if it's a fact, you know? So yeah, I guess that's my thoughts on my experiences around imposter syndrome.
Yeah, that's good actually, because you've actually what you've given there is you've given an example of like in your life and a situation, and also picked up on the next question I was going to ask, as in why we have it. So that's your brain almost like trying to protect you, almost I don't know, maybe almost like maybe would you say like putting you into like survival mode almost, or I don't know what your thoughts on that.
I think I mentioned that it's like a gatekeeper.
Mm,
So it's just literally just saying, I mean, even in my workplace, you have to be a gatekeeper to your team, to the development team, to the people around you. So you're going to have people throwing things at you, bringing up, making up noise, the noise around you.
mm,
And so when you're in that particular environment and you just want to make sure that you gatekeep yourself, you keep yourself in that safe space where you can, as I said before, protect your credibility, protect the fact that you are somewhat competent in what you're trying to do or what you are doing.
brilliant, love that, thanks. So I'm just going to move on to our next point and just talking about like how do you feel that that has kind of like impacted you, the fact that okay, your brain is like now the brain is now like telling us, we got to be careful of this, we got to watch this, we got to watch that, like what kind of like hindrance or not hindrance, or I don't know, but how do you feel that that has impacted you, whether good or
Yeah.
bad, and what do you think the consequences of that have been?
Okay. So I guess for me, it never really looked like panic. It looked like over preparing.
Mm,
So I'll double check things. I softened my opinions. I'd wait till I was completely certain before even speaking. And then, oh, okay, like let's go back. Like when you're junior, like this is even
yeah,
worse. You almost don't want to talk because you assume that everyone else knows more. And then one day you realize something slightly like uncomfortable, like you're not actually the junior person in the room anymore.
yeah,
So people are actually waiting for your view, and then you're sitting there mentally asking permission from people who are now looking to you for direction. And then that's when you realize that imposter syndrome doesn't stop your work. What it does, it edits your behavior. So this might look like you hesitating, you delaying your decisions, you're saying less than you actually know. I am so guilty of doing
mm,
that. And then the irony is that it costs more than the mistake that you're even trying to avoid. So I would say, like, my faith, for example, has also made me reflect. I mean, if I believe God orders my steps, then constantly telling myself I shouldn't be where I am doesn't necessarily add up.
yeah,
So at
exactly,
one
I hear
point,
you
I
on
have
that.
to decide whether that voice is wisdom or just fear
Yeah.
wearing a respectable outfit. Do you understand?
Yeah, dressed with wisdom. So I hear you. So it's just like it's like fear and anxiety dressed up in a way that I'm here to protect you type thing. Really, it's holding you back.
Exactly. And then that faith as well keeps you reflective. It stops any arrogance as well.
Yeah,
And then it's like you shouldn't be like running the meeting in your head. You should be actively participating in it and
yeah,
contributing and really trying to get like your thoughts and your opinions above because they're worth it. That you are meant to be
absolutely.
there.
Your
Yeah.
value, definitely. And I love that point you made. I just want to go back and pick up on something that you said about that transition, and maybe imposter syndrome is that transition of when you started out, you were very junior in the
Mm.
role or junior in the position, and over time, you've actually now become the expert, but you've kind of like not known. It's like Like when you're growing, you don't know you're
Hmm.
growing when you're growing, until like, when you see that auntie or uncle that says, "Oh my gosh, da, 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 you do you understand?" So like similarly, maybe like in a work setting, like you started out with this knowledge, and then over time, it's grown and grown and grown, and you're the main person that has the knowledge. You're the main SME in that situation,
Yeah,
and then everybody's now looking at you for that information, but that was not your role to begin with. People never looked at you to give you information. It was always that other person, and now it's become you. It's like in your mind is having to catch up with where you are in reality. Yes, you are the SME. Yes, you do know your stuff. Yes, what you are saying is going to make an impact on the organization. Yes, what you are saying is going to like save, millions of pounds or save
found.
hundreds of pounds. That type of thing. It's like wow. So like I think it's like coming to a realization of that as well is it's that transition. So like you've grown and you developed and you're now accomplished, but in your mind you're still seeing yourself as that old version
Of
that was
yeah.
still you know
One thing I like try and make sure that I hold true to myself is that we're all lifelong learners. So you
my mum used to
can,
say that. Yeah,
yeah, you're not going to know everything. And
absolutely.
one of the things that I have learned over the years is that so I used to panic if I didn't know the answer.
Mm,
I felt like, oh, how can I not know the answer?
yeah,
Did
that
you
links
not
back to my
read?
last episode on episode 7 on asking for help. Yeah.
Ask exactly. Oh, I would never ask for help. I would never. I would rather go to everywhere else, but ask the person that probably has the
Mm,
answer for the help because I don't want to look incompetent to that
exactly. Yeah, I
particular
know that one.
person. But as I said, it means you delay decisions. It
Mm,
means that you do know stuff, but then you may say less than what you actually know. And then
mm.
also in this way, also it kind of then stops you. One thing, how do I put this? One thing that I didn't learn to do was to ask questions because
Oh,
sometimes it's not
I need to
about the
do a
fact
podcast on that.
that
Go
one,
on,
yeah,
continue asking
because
questions.
it's
Love it.
yeah, not that sometimes they don't even know the answer. Sometimes you have
Mm,
to actually find the answers together. And
definitely.
like you feel like you're gonna walk into these meetings and you should have the answers ready. They should just be there
Mm,
and you should be able to flow and tell everybody exactly how it's supposed to be. But you're supposed to be discovering these things together.
absolutely.
If there
Absolutely.
are unknowns, you are supposed to explore it and go back out there, find the answers, come back and then make decisions together. But I don't know, it's just because you have this imposter syndrome, you feel like you're supposed to walk in there and you're supposed to just
Mm,
know it. And
be
so
the
you
smartest in the room. Yeah.
yeah. So you just remove that particular part of asking, you just remove it.
And I think like what you just touched on there is like the art of collaboration, and that is what
Mhm.
is so key in our line of work in Agile. It's all about collaboration. It's about coming together. That whole word Scrum.
Mhm.
Literally means you come together. So yeah, when you ask questions, and sometimes you ask questions, and it causes people to think one way, and then then from there somebody else thinks this, and someone else suggests that, and they go, "That's good, but let's do it like that." And then you just create something beautiful when you just open up and be like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. I'm not sure. What are your thoughts? I'm not clear on this area. Just ask those questions. It really does make a difference. That's why we need business analysts in our lives. Oh, brilliant. Okay, I was going to say like that. I love that because you talked about that growth and the that impact of imposter syndrome and the consequences. So just looking at it in a different way. I mean, like, how have you seen it? What ways have you seen it in a good light? Because I was going to touch on sort of Mel Robbins, for example. One of the podcasts that she did, she talked when I heard what she had to say about imposter syndrome. Like for me, I had the whole idea of you trying to fake it or feeling as if you don't belong. But she kind of flipped it to the idea of seeing it as something you should be embracing, seeing it as something you should run to, just like the way I see failure as something that you should run to. She sees imposter syndrome as something that it's good because it means growth. It means if you're doing something uncomfortable, that means that you're growing actually. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, and she's absolutely right. I mean, it's when you're in those uncomfortable situations, the situations that you may not have necessarily expected the rooms that you may not have expected to be in, or the conversations you may not have expected to be a part of, that is when that imposter syndrome does definitely show up. And I think the one thing I've noticed, it shows up more around speaking. So, when you're unsure of yourself, as I said, you stay silent or you over prepare. And then you only then speak when you're very comfortable or certain on that thing. But yeah, I guess the moment people start asking questions, the tone of trying to sound impressive, everything will just then change, And yeah, that perspective of like, you are in the right place if that imposter syndrome shows up, because it means that you're actually now able to exercise this new skill and bring forward the person, somewhat like an alter ego, that professional person, forward, and have a go and try and make yourself heard or contribute or collaborate in a way that you may not have necessarily thought you would have done so in the first place.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. That's brilliant. As a boy mama free, working full-time, running a household and holding an elder position in church, I used to treat rest as a reward, something I earned after exhaustion. Now I prioritize rest like it's a bill I have to pay. This means intentionally scheduling trips, spa, holidays, and real downtime. One way I've done this is by becoming a home-based travel agent, allowing me to stretch my budget and earn commission on trips I've already taken. You can absolutely do this and start traveling smarter. If this is something you're curious about, connect with me on Instagram at Mrs. Agile Travels. This could be a great opportunity for you and your loved ones. That's Mrs. Agile, Ajala Travels on Instagram. And now just move on to our third and final point. And I think we've kind of like touched on this a little bit earlier in our earlier points as well. So, we just to summarize what we've talked about before we go into our third point, we talked about your definition of imposter syndrome there, just a sense of your brain trying to like gatekeep you or keep you safe or over prepare, over analyze for the situation, or make you feel as if, look, Evelyn, or look, Bimpe, you're in this room now. Prepare yourself, you're representing this, representing that, monitor yourself, check yourself, all of that sort of thing. So that's kind of like what we felt like imposter syndrome is. And then we just talked secondly on the impact it's had on us and the consequences of it as well. Maybe we kind of like don't speak up, or we don't say as much, or we don't ask for help because we don't want to be seen in a light that is not what we view of ourselves. So as a result of some of the consequences are maybe we don't speak up in certain situations, we play it small, we keep quiet. But what we've noticed is that we're actually not seeing that we've grown to become the most important SME on that subject, on that topic in the room. So therefore people are going to ask us for our opinions, and therefore people are going to ask for our views. And if we don't have an answer, that's absolutely okay, because when we get together and collaborate, new and beautiful things can come out from that. And then also we just touched on Mel Robbins' take on it. It's an opportunity for us to grow into the best versions of ourselves. So absolutely embrace that imposter syndrome. So now our third point is Evelyn just going to give us some strategies or ways to look at it. We've kind of touched on it earlier as well, but you can maybe do a deeper dive if you want on them.
Okay, so I can kind of touch on like maybe some strategies that I've taken, my mindset and what's helped me. So I think over the years, the biggest change for me was this. I stopped arguing with the thought and started questioning its authority, because imposter syndrome is often just a thought, so it's not a diagnosis.
That castle down imaginations that exalt itself above the knowledge of Christ. Yeah, love it. Go on.
So you can think I might not belong here and still be completely capable.
Absolutely.
And one thing that helped me was that I would call, this might sound weird, but I'd call like a professional alter ego. So before certain situations, I step into a role. So it's not like a fake person. It's just like this.
It's the version of you that you're growing into.
The steadier version of me.
Yeah.
And then I say this version that speaks clearly, that listens properly, and doesn't panic about every reaction in the room.
Amen.
And then I stopped waiting to feel confident first.
I
I
love that.
behaved
Millionaire
confidently
mindset.
first. Yes, you got it.
Not asking
And
for permission.
not asking for permission. And then, like, the feeling like usually kind of caught up later, but then like over time I realized that I wasn't even pretending. Just accessing a part of myself that I hadn't been using, as you said, consistently. So I also found the idea of fixed mindsets and growth mindsets helpful as well. So, like, let's say, for example, a fixed mindset says, if I feel unsure, I must not be good at this. Whereas with a growth mindset, it's like, I feel unsure because this is new. Yeah. So we often expect competence to feel comfortable immediately. And, we touched on this earlier, isn't it? Yeah. But real competence often looks like learning in public and then improving as we go along. Yeah. So now my process is very, very simple. I notice a thought, I label it as protective, not factual, and I act anyway.
So label, notice, act anyway. Love it.
Yeah. And then confidence is not the absence of doubt. Confidence is not letting doubt make your decision.
Jeez, I think you're going to have to say that again. Say that again, please, for me, Evelyn.
How did I just say it? Okay, it said confidence is not the absence of doubt. Confidence is not letting doubt make your decisions.
That is really, really good. I love that. Yeah. That's really good. I think we're gonna have to maybe, I don't know, when it comes to the takeaway line, I'm gonna see which one you decide to give, because you've dropped so many gems today, man. Thank you so much. And that is so good. I mean, like, some of the things that I've used, I've just like heavily relied on the word of God. Like, the one that I've used is that one of, God's not gonna give you anything that you won't handle, that you can't handle, take you, beyond what you can handle. So that's that 1 Corinthians 10:13, and also that Jeremiah one, Jeremiah 29:11. My plans for you are for good, for prosper. So where you're in those tight situations, just be like, you know what, this is going to work out for my good. All things are working out for my good.
Amen. Yeah, and as you say, prayer has helped me as well with this as well, because it's not only just like removed the nerves, it's given me so much perspective. And I guess my responsibility is to use what I've been given and do the work properly, not to guarantee that I will feel calm in every single situation, but know that I've got God's guidance and protection in order for me to fulfill the role that I've been asked to do.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Evelyn. That's just been great. Just to summarize what we talked about today, we talked about imposter syndrome and kind of like looking at Evelyn's definition of it, which is, I think it's so good. It's like our brain trying to like gatekeeper, trying to protect us and trying to make us, get us over prepared and stuff. And one of the things that Evelyn does is she notices it, and then she labels it, and then she takes action as a good way to overcome it, and having an alter ego. And one of the things that Evelyn said that was really good, which I think we should all take away, is just stop arguing with it and label it. And then also recognizing that if you are feeling or seeing imposter syndrome, you are absolutely in the right place. It just means there's a growth opportunity there for you, so definitely capture it and run with it. So before we go, Evelyn, can you give us a takeaway for all my anxious for nothings listening out there today? Give us your takeaway, please.
I would say, don't let the gatekeeper run the building. So these thoughts don't just disappear, they're there, but don't let them sit in the chair of authority. Just use that voice as a warning. It's not saying that you don't belong there. It's just saying that you are now growing into a space, and it's a space that you wanted to reach.
And that kind of like maps really nicely with you when you talked about your alter ego that you just say. That maps so nicely across with that. Thank you so much, Evelyn, for your time today and for coming on my show and just sharing with all the anxious for nothing listeners out there your tips and ways of overcoming imposter syndrome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time and your pearls of wisdom and Evelyn, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really, really appreciate your time and appreciate the advice you've been giving to all my anxious for nothings on how they can overcome imposter syndrome and the tips and things that you've used that have gotten you through it. So if my anxious for nothings want to hear a bit more about you, what platform can they reach you on?
Right, so you can reach me on LinkedIn if you just search for Evelyn Akinmusire. It's Evelyn, which is Evelyn, and Akinmusire, it is Akinmusire. I should come up and just connect with me, drop me a little message. I'm always happy to connect, and I will always love to learn a bit more about other people. And just holla.
Brilliant. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Evelyn.
You're welcome.
Wow, that was the lovely Evelyn Akinmusire, and you can find her on LinkedIn. Check out her Scrum Bite series. And me and Evelyn caught up actually after the show, and I'm excited to say that Evelyn is really good at AI prompting, and I've been encouraging her, should I say, to start up a course. So follow Evelyn on LinkedIn to get all the latest news and find out what she's up to. Please subscribe if you've not subscribed to the show already, and comment and leave a review on the platform you're listening to, because I absolutely love to read them. Thank you so much for your time today, and I'll see you again next week. You want guilt-free time for yourself without sacrificing your peace of mind? I've been there and I get it. Visit www.anxiousfornothing.kit.com and get my free prioritization guide designed to help you create more time for what truly matters without sacrificing family, work, or your values. I want us to experience what it truly means to be anxious for nothing with more time, less pressure, and freedom from people pleasing. That's anxiousfornothing.kit.com for your free guide. Thank you for listening. I'm Bimpe, looking forward to seeing you next week. Remember, you are anxious for nothing, and when you win, everyone wins.